Good evening, welcome to the Buck Stops here. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the program tonight, massive lines and no cash. That was the experience of many citizens as lakhs coped with the government's ambitious plan of demonetizing 500 and 1,000 rupee notes in a massive fight against black money. There is no doubt that the fight against black money is one that all citizens need to play a part in. And yes, difficulties may exist. But has the RBI and has the government really thought through the process through which they would implement something so massive? Tonight we raise basic questions and have our panel of experts answer some of them. We have a studio audience as well with us today. They'll be putting in some questions. Our guest tonight, P.N. Vijay, convener of the economic cell of the BJP, Pradeep Chaudhary, the former chairman of the State Bank of India, is also with us. Arvind Virmani, the former chief economic advisor to the Government of India, with us in the studio, and the national spokesperson of the Congress, Jaiveer Shergill, as well. What I'm actually going to do right off the top is bring you the first question, and I think this is the question that's on everybody's mind more than anything else, and that is, why are ATMs running out of money? In fact, let me put that question across to Mr. P.N. Vijay right away. Mr. Vijay, thanks very much for being with us. It's a question about an immediate requirement. There were huge lines yesterday. There were massive lines today. So a lot of people have a very simple question for you, sir. Why are ATMs running out of cash? Are they running out of cash?
Yes, obviously they are running out of cash. And it seems to me that the RBI totally underestimated the level of cash withdrawals that citizens will take from the ATMs. I think their projections have gone totally awry, and also not helping is the time restriction placed on the use of the old notes at key places like petrol pumps and utilities and so forth. So I think this part of it clearly could have been managed better, and I am seeing every hour some sort of an announcement coming from the RBI and the government to make life easier for the citizen in the aftermath of this very dramatic announcement. But Vishnu, one point is we shouldn't really miss the wood for the trees.
No, we won't,
what
sir.
We are seeing
we won't, sir.
Yes.
I'm coming back to you, sir, because I'm not going to miss.
That's happening.
Yeah, sir, we've got 10
but
questions.
I agree
I'm going
with
to come
you
back
that
to
the
that.
aftermath.
We just bear with me, sir, because we don't rest assured you'll have plenty of time to answer that, and I don't think any of us want to miss what the larger goal is. But just on this one point, Mr. Virmani, do you believe that this is an issue which the RBI should have looked at more carefully? They should have expected a run on ATMs, or in many cases the banks. They should have been better prepared for this.
So very quickly, there's a supply chain, right? The RBI has to produce the notes. It has to distribute them to the different cities and their own centers. They have it all over the country, and from there to every bank, and the bank has then to deliver it to every branch or ATM. It's a massive operation. I didn't expect it to be very good. In fact, my first comment on this on Twitter was that I expect a serious problem of retail trade in the first 1 or 2 weeks.
Right.
So in that sense, I'm not surprised. But there's always room for improvement. I don't know where the bottlenecks are. I don't know enough to give a more detailed comment.
Would you like to voice an opinion on this? The fact that there are massive queues now. The BJP president has today accused the Congress party and other parties of trying to take advantage of a situation which actually benefits lakhs of people in the country and benefits the economy of the country. Isn't it time all political parties looked beyond the immediate and the larger goal, which you really need to encourage much more?
I think, Vishnu, first there is a question mark on the term benefit and the larger goal itself. I think it's an illogical, inconvenient move based on incorrect assumptions and presumptions. This is a classic case of operation successful, patient dead, patient being me and the common man here. Now, these chaos on the streets reflects the unpreparedness of the government. Why Mr. Vijay was saying that the RBI could not read the pulse, there is a reason. The 40% of the unorganized sector, the cash sector, has been put under immense undue hardship, which they did not read beforehand, and suddenly here they are lying up. Second, the medical, now today Ms. Swati Singh of NDTV, she tweeted her driver was in the hospital and the hospital did not accept the cash. There is a big cyclic cash.
But that was a private hospital. This, if you correct me if I'm wrong, this applies to government hospitals where those old 500 and 1000 rupee notes are acceptable.
But Vishnu, look at the patient. Are we distinguishing a patient in a private and a government hospital?
So those are the RBI guidelines, but you make an important point. Mr. P. N. Vijay, would you like to respond to some of those concerns and make the larger point that you were, sir?
Yeah, I think the concerns are very, very legitimate. One cannot say that, and frankly, I think Rahul Gandhi would like to take advantage of the situation. After all, he's the leader of the opposition and that sort of thing. But I do hope, my immediate point, of course, is that I do hope the authorities, as a citizen of India, I do hope that they straighten out this mess in the next 2 days. Banks are going to be open Saturday, Sunday, etc., etc. The supply chain, as Ashok was saying, as Arvind was saying, will improve. The bigger picture is, I think, Vishnu, this is a very, very serious attempt to take away that stock of black money which is in the system. Asset prices in this country were absolutely crazy. For example, you take a loan from a bank at 10%, you give up that property on rent, you get 1.5%. Too much of black money. Even if you sell a property for 50 lakhs, the black money element is 50%. At some stage, I mean, we all know about it, we all talk about it, we all crib about it. At some stage, somebody had to bell the cat. There are going to be enormous impact. I would say these queues are tip of the iceberg. As it filters through the system, you're going to have enormous real estate developers going bust. You're going to see a huge tsunami in the system because you are removing a very, very big component of the economy. But on the whole, we have to be prepared for very, very big upheavals in the next 6 months. Okay. But I think after that, India is going to emerge stronger, a better, a more productive,
but Mr. Vijay, just as a matter of clarification, 2 years ago, the RBI had announced somewhat of a similar program, withdrawal of currency notes printed before 2005. And at that stage, the BJP said, in fact, your spokesperson at that stage, Meenakshi Lekhi, had said, and I quote, this would do nothing to curb black money, but would instead have a terrible impact. I have a exact quote, in fact. She said, the 65% of this country's population who don't have bank accounts, who have kept their life's earnings and small savings at home, those who are not educated or live far away from areas with bank branches, their life earnings will be affected, but not black money. This was your position 2 years back. What's made you change your own core position?
No. That scheme of withdrawing old notes was not a scheme against black money. It was a scheme against counterfeit money which was coming.
But the notes were going to be withdrawn. And the point she mentioned is that people were going to be inconvenienced.
Vishnu, in last 2 years, you will agree, and even my good friend from the Congress will agree, that there has been tremendous penetration of bank accounts. Today, I am told about 94% of India is covered through bank accounts. It's a different matter. There is zero balance in them. But the credit card system has penetrated. The wallet system, mobile wallet system has penetrated. So India has started using technology.
Okay,
so
I want to take that across.
India is in a better position to move towards
than we were 2 years ago.
Than we were a few years ago.
Pradeep Chaudhary, would you as a former chairman of the SBI agree with that point that, you know, as we move ultimately towards a cashless society, that's many years away, the fact that there has been so many new banks and the like which have been opened, banks have been opened, accounts more importantly have been opened, penetration is much larger. Is that something which makes you believe that this is perhaps a better time to have actually attempted something like this, or is it still too premature?
No, because if you keep deferring it, waiting for the best time or ideal time, that would never come. So you have to take the call at some point of time or other. And I think even this penetration, significant success has been achieved. Even in SBI itself, there are 20 crore debit cards. Now, even if we assume that there could be multiple card holders, one person holding multiple cards, at least 10 crore people are having debit cards from SBI itself. So the spread of debit cards or ATM cards have been huge. But having said that, these logistics problems, but I think these have to be thought through, and we have the weekends, and I think what happened was that they did not program the ATMs again, because when you put in new currency, you have to reprogram the ATMs. So I think overnight it can be used, the overnight time should be used to program the ATMs, and now most of these cash distribution services are outsourced. So you can go and fill up the ATMs at night itself, so that next morning it's only a question of scare. When people feel that no, money is coming out, then there would not be such a scare. Another thing possibly that has happened, I was talking to my driver, he said the new notes are 2000 rupees.
Yes.
And possibly 500 rupee new notes have yet not been printed,
scarce, yes,
or not been printed in significant quantities. So this person says that I took out 2000 rupees, but when I go to my vegetable seller, he says you buy vegetables for 2000, otherwise what do I do?
That's a fair point. I wanted to go across to my audience. Could you raise your hands? Bab, could you go ahead with a question, not a comment, but a question?
So, sir, you just mentioned about the 2000 rupee note.
Sit, please.
Yeah. How is that any better than the 1000 rupee note, and how is it going to stop the money hoarders, the launderers from, hoarding that money, keeping it with themselves? Or it's a fundamental question. How is a 2000 rupee note better than a 1000 rupee?
See, there has to be an eye on convenience also. Now, if you say that all high denomination notes are leading to hoarding, then we should have only 1 rupee notes. Now you imagine what your life would be that if the maximum denomination is 1 rupee. But I use a global benchmark that the note, the highest denomination note, should be able to purchase you a pair of shoes. Now a pair of decent shoes cost 2000 rupees. And what do you have? You have 1000 rupees. So 2000 is a welcome step. And I remember when this demonetization had happened, I had got done some work in my home, and it cost 6200 rupees, and 100 rupees was the highest denomination. So I took a packet of 6100 rupee notes. The shopkeeper said, please don't break the packet.
Okay.
I will give you 32 notes, give the packet. Now this was such a logistic nightmare.
Very, very inconvenient.
And secondly, if you think, if
Vishnu,
the
I think
government
her question is different actually.
2000 rupees is
Vishnu,
required.
I'll give you, Mr. Vijay, half a second.
2000 rupees is required, and if tomorrow you find that 2000 rupees is also being abused, you can have a similar demonetization.
Okay. You had
measures.
a point, Mr. Shergill, and Mr. Vijay, I'll come to you next, yes. This point on 2000 rupees, everybody is talking about it. You ban 1000 rupees, why have 2000 rupees?
No, Vishnu, I have
what is the Congress party's
Yeah, I have a very simple point. The factum is today cash forms a very minimalistic component of the black money as such. Largely it's gold and property, real estate property.
But that's also an assumption at one level.
No, there are
we'll
reports
know in
here.
January how much money
Yes,
actually comes into the banking system.
Today, if that is true, then why this indirect attack only on this cash component, and that too on the 40% unorganized sector who has to queue up and go through all this?
Yes.
Which black money hoarder do we see standing up in line? One. Second, if the argument is of counterfeit, in August Mr. Arun Jaitley in Parliament said on record only 0.02% of the currency is counterfeit, which comes to 400 crore out of 16 lakh crore.
Okay.
If that is the logic, what prompted them to, if these are the 2 points of black money and counterfeit, to undertake this measure? Number 3, if we are moving towards a cashless society, aren't we defeating the purpose by introducing a higher denomination?
Okay, okay. Mr. Vijay, very quickly answer this question. I want to go through the other points. Yes, the 2000 rupee point.
Yes, I think the girl's point was, how are you going to make sure that future black money generation is avoided? And I think that's a fantastic question. I agree with the Congress representative that black money is also present through real estate and gold. But you will agree that the notes are the medium through which gold and real estate are transacted. So having removed the stack of notes out of the system, we have to ensure that the new creation of black money doesn't happen. And that's the big challenge. Otherwise, 10 years from now, we'll have another demonetization scheme, another NDTV cameraman showing pictures of ATM. We need to reduce stamp duties from 10% to 3%. We need to do many other things. So the follow-up should be imaginative, quick, so that the generation of black money in the system is also reduced.
And that imaginative solution is by having 2000 rupee notes, Mr. Vijay.
No, I think as Chaudhary Saab, my friend, was telling me, it's just a convenience.
Okay.
It's just a very incidental thing.